Former President Bill Clinton giving his deposition today in relation to the Epstein files, saying he saw nothing and did nothing wrong. The latest now from Atra El-Nashar.
In Chappaqua, New York, Friday, Bill Clinton becoming the first current or former president to testify before members of Congress since Gerald Ford in 1974. These images of Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein and on his plane, released by the Department of Justice, led the Republican-led House Oversight Committee to subpoena the former president and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who was questioned Thursday.
Again, no one's accusing anyone of any wrongdoing, but I think the American people have a lot of questions.
In his opening statement, former President Clinton told the Oversight Committee, "I have two things that at the end of the day matter more than your interpretation of those 20-year-old photos. I know what I saw and, more importantly, what I didn't see. I know what I did and, more importantly, what I didn't do. I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong." Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says questions for the former president have to do with Epstein's finances, survivors, foreign intelligence, and Epstein's involvement with the Clinton Foundation. Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell has also answered questions about Epstein's ties to former President Clinton last summer during the controversial 2 days of questioning by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
You're not aware of President Clinton ever going to the island?
He absolutely never went, and I can be sure of that because there's no way he would have gone. I don't believe there's any way that he would have gone to the island had I not been there, because I don't believe he had an independent friendship, if you will, with Epstein.
Both Republicans and Democrats say the former president cooperated and answered all their questions Friday.
Republicans have now set a new precedent, which is to bring in presidents and former presidents to testify.
Democrats say that should also include President Trump.
He appears in the Epstein files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell almost more than anybody else.
According to Chairman Comer, former President Clinton testified that he never heard Trump say anything to make him think Trump was involved with Epstein's crimes. The top Democrat on the committee says that's not a complete description of what was said. The public will see for themselves when the transcript is released. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.